Bonjour, welcome, hi, hello everyone. Thank you for being here today with us for this session. We are going to talk about investing in what matters and support European film and audiovisual sectors in the next long-term budget of the European Union. And this session is presented by the European Parliament. My name is Pauline Duranvial. I will be the moderator for this session. Outside of moderating panels in a neutral way, as much as possible, as much as is humanly possible, I work for the Federation of European Film and TV Directors, FERA. So that's a bit of a disclaimer, but as I said, I will do my best to remain as neutral as possible to guide this exchange today. So I think before actually introducing the panelists to you, and even introducing the topic in maybe a little bit more details, we will play you a little bit of a short clip, which will tell you a little bit about the discussion today. You can go.
Imagine trying to carry a heavy burden all by yourself. Now, picture doing it with a team. Sometimes the best way forward isn't doing it alone, but by working together. With every EU country contributing to a common long-term budget, we can better address common challenges and invest in what matters. Working together creates opportunities beyond national level. The investment in shared programs is a fraction of each country's national income, yet it impacts every European. The EU's long-term budget helps to create jobs, support the most vulnerable, tackle the rising cost of living, protect farmers, fight climate change, address security challenges, and much more. Every 7 years, the European Commission proposes the next budget. The European Parliament plays an important role in shaping it, by advocating for how much money should be invested and in which priorities. The long-term budget must be approved by EU countries' governments in the Council and your representatives in the Parliament. We want to make sure we invest in what matters so that every citizen benefits from European projects.
Thank you. So now that you've heard this, I don't know how much of it factors in when you are in a film festival and you're watching long films and you're coming to a panel and you see a video, but it gives you a little bit of context, I think, and more importantly, it tells you about how the European budget, which is what we will discuss today in parts, is essential in terms of financing and supporting the European film and audiovisual sector. Of course, that's not detailed in the video, but this is what we're going to talk about now, so that's okay. I think maybe just in case you didn't catch that, MFF means Multi-Annual Financial Frameworks. You understood from the video, I'm sure, that it's something that is set for 7 years. So the discussions that are starting now are going to impact the structure of the European budget until, if I'm not mistaken, 2034. So that's fairly important if you're thinking of different programs who are supporting this sector of ours. And primarily, of course, Creative Europe Media, but also Horizon. If all of a sudden I might be saying something wrong, but no, Horizon is right, as well as InvestEU, of course. So this is about defining how much money is going to be allocated to which priorities and how, pretty much. So you've understood from the video also that it's the member states that will fund this. So in many ways, those of you who are European and pay taxes are going to finance this multi-annual financial framework for the European Union. Okay, so these are really the very, very basic. And to delve into this further and see how this structure of the European budget is relevant for the people in the room who work in this sector in Europe, we have an excellent panel of folks who know what they're talking about, which is very good. I'm going to start with the person who is not here, who will arrive in a few minutes, traffic coming from the airport. Mrs. Laurence Farang, he's a member of the European Parliament, and maybe we'll introduce her in more details when she arrives. Then we have, in the order of appearance, from right to left, Ada Solomon, who is a Romanian film producer with a few decades of experience, well known in the industry, of course, and also an active advocate for independent production through different hats that she wears, I was going to say bear, but no, the European Film Academy, deputy chair, member of the European Producers Club, and a founding member of the board of the Romanian Alliance of Producers. We also have next to Ada, Mrs. Emma Rafovitz, who is also, like Mrs. Farang, a member of the European Parliament. Mrs. Rafovitz, you are from France, and you are currently serving as Vice Chair of the European Parliament Committee on Culture and Education following your election in 2024. Sorry, my voice is going a little bit, which is why sometimes I'm getting lost. Matthias, next to me, very bravely, is the president of Europa Cinema since 2024, so fairly recently. And you also have a few decades of experience in cinema exhibition. All right, so now that we've said that, let's go. Let's do this. We will start maybe with you, Emma. And since you're on your own, I'm going to switch papers. Sorry. Up. I think the task goes to you to maybe give a little bit of a frame to this entire thing and to tell us a little bit about how the European Union has impacted the sector across the continent through the previous multi-annual financial framework, yes, the next European budget, and how the European Parliament actually plays a role into all of this. Can you explain that a little bit for the audience?
I will try. Thank you so much, Pauline, for this moment and for this discussion. I think it's really important. I want to salute all of you and thank you because obviously you care about that subject and we all do. As you know, the European Parliament has always been, well, an important place for culture, and we have always kind of advocated for culture. The main, and I want to say the European Parliament, because sometimes we were also involved in fights where we had, us, the Parliament, to convince other institutions that the budget for culture especially was really important and was, well, let's say, too low and needed to be increased. It has been a fight for the last mandate and it will be, I am sure, a fight for the next few weeks, and I will talk about that really importantly. Obviously, the really important program that we have in the European Union for culture is Europe Creative Europe, sorry, in English. Creative Europe is actually a really important program, and for you, especially in the film industry, the strength that you care about most is obviously the media strength of Creative Europe. It is obviously something really important for us. It is a program that is shaping the film industry. It is shaping it obviously because it's, well, it promotes a way of working, it promotes co-production, it promotes a lot of things, but also it is something that is, well, supporting cinema and the film industry, but especially independent producing and independent sector. I want to say that today we are obviously facing many challenges, and I say hi to my colleague Laurence. We are facing many challenges in this discussion about the budget of the European Union, and we cannot talk just about culture without a bit of context about, well, the whole situation of the European Union's budget. As you know, we have a lot of talks about how Europe must wake up, how Europe must take a stand, especially on defense, how we must do new things, and obviously we are all, I think, for it, and we don't want to say that it's not a good thing. I think that it's really important today that Europe actually evolves and start to make, well, important choices involving its budget. However, we have a significant problem is obviously that when you make new choices, sometimes others can be, well, we can have, as I say, well, backlash, or we can go back, and this is obviously what we don't want. I want to say that the Parliament will have a unique role in defending the culture's budget in the MFF. Obviously, we know that culture is not a unique competence of the European Union. It is something that obviously is through the states. However, we have a responsibility in the European Parliament for culture. Some tools are shared at the European level, and we can have actually, I think, a key role at the European level for culture and for the film industry. What I want to say is that when we are saying that we are facing some major challenges as Europeans together, especially with Putin's attack on Ukraine, all of that is not an issue that is unrelated to culture. And we were together in Berlin a few months ago now, and we had a chance to be with the Ukrainian Minister of Culture. And we were talking together about cinema and the film industry. And this is actually here in France, the CNC, who is also organizing how, well, movies are still being made for the Ukrainian people, by the Ukrainian people. And it's really important to say that we are not just, well, in a moment of war that is only through weapons. War is also through culture. And we know that in Ukraine, especially in Ukraine, when Putin is actually attacking the Ukrainian people and Ukraine, it is not just borders, it is not just soldiers, it is also an entire culture that is right now, as we speak, at stake and can be erased if we don't do anything. So I do believe that today, what we must see as Europeans and as Democrats is that illiberals, people from, I would say, reactionary regimes, and we see that obviously in the United States also, are seeing culture for what it is. And it is a tool. It can be a tool for, well, let's say, take democracy down. But for us Democrats, we must say that culture is actually so important for democracy. Today sometimes, and when I'm in the parliament, we are kind of angry because sometimes we are feeling like culture is not took as seriously as it should be. When we are seeing that, especially in Europe, the countries that are spending the most money on their culture are illiberal regimes, such as Orban's Hungary. 4% of the GDP of Hungary is actually invested in culture. It's most money in all our European countries. I think that we are not doing enough. And what I want to say, as obviously vice chair of the Committee of Culture in the European Parliament, is that when we are defending culture, we are defending the European Union. We are defending democracy. We are defending something that we care about. And so in the next weeks, what we will be fighting about, especially with the Socialists and Democrats, but I think this is obviously a wider battle, is to double the budget of Creative Europe. It is also to have a Creative Europe budget and program that is oriented towards the independent production. And it is also a program that is took as seriously as it can be and as it is, a tool for democracy also, and it is our role, I think, as member of this parliament, to protect culture, because, well, if we don't do it, some people will try, not exactly to destroy it, but to manipulate it to serve their reactionary and illiberal discourses. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. So you are making a link clearly between the structure of the budget, the political priority of the European Union for this sequence of time defined by the budget, and you are very clearly making a difference between propaganda on the one end and soft power promoting democratic values and culture, realizing that there is a bit of a difference of treatment between the two. And it seems like, from your perspective, the understanding of the influence that the cultural sectors can carry is better understood on the side of illiberal democracies who would invest into it for propaganda purposes, while we may be on the other side seeing something that has to do with maybe a more timid approach to financing that you feel can be addressed by the European Parliament in this discussion. Before going to Mrs. Farhang, I just want to make sure people understand in the room how things work in Brussels. Do you get the difference between the European Parliament, the European Commission and the Council, or not? Yeah, okay, let's say we do, but we will still explain as we go along. So just to clarify, the European Commission is a little bit like the executive branch of the functioning of the Union. It makes proposals, etc., including on the structure of the budget and priorities. But then, of course, the member states in Council and the European Parliament have a say. So in the end, whatever the European Union does is the result of this three-legged machine. I don't know if this is a good comparison, but you get my meaning. Mrs. Farhang, we're going to go to you, having given you a few seconds to catch your breath. You have been serving as a member of the European Parliament since 2019. You are today also involved in the Committee on Culture and Education in the European Parliament as coordinator for Renew. Can you tell us from your previous mandate experience, what's it been like last time around? And were you happy with the results of what the European Parliament influenced in discussing the budget and the place of culture in the budget last time? Because COVID was there at some point and did have an impact as well.
First, hello everyone. Sorry for being late. I'm just arriving from Biarritz, where maybe you know there will be soon a very great festival called Nouvelle Vague. I thought Sandrine Brouwer should be in the room, so that was such an introduction. What I feel, first I thank Emma for her speech, because I share many points that she raised. And what I feel, maybe it's a little bit weird, is that we have a momentum for culture just now, thanks to all what is happening and thanks to Donald Trump, of course. Really, we have this chance, so we should grasp it now. As you said, it's sometimes complicated to understand how we work in the European elections, and that's an issue, because, you know, it's very interesting to understand these three institutions, because we don't share the same point of view. What I feel is that there is a will in the Council, so in the Member States. I think we can count on something. I think so. You have the Parliament. Today, to be honest, I'm not sure about what we think about culture. Indeed, we know what we think in our committees, because okay, I sit with Emma in the Committee for Culture. As well, I'm in the Committee for Juridic and Legal Affairs, so, which is very important because it works on copyright and very soon on IA and copyright. We have an initiative report that would be very interesting and important. And we have the Commission. So the Commission, which is a kind of government. As I said, today we don't know really what the Parliament thinks, because we don't have a vote on culture yet. We gave opinion on budget. We said, of course, we want more. We want to first to securize Creative Europe, because it was at stake, and that's crazy because it's the smaller program in the EU. It's less than 0.02% of the budget, so that's crazy. That Creative Europe should be attacked. So we told we want more money, but as well we want to address media issue, but we ask for example, for a music stream as media is, because we have a lot of question about music as well. So we said that we are on many subjects, as I said, of course, IA and culture, which is quite a big debate in these times in the parliaments. We prepare the AVMSD revision, which will be quite a battle as well. So we have all these open files, but we have to work and we have to know what the Parliament thinks really, because the Parliament has changed since the previous mandate, and as you could see, the far right is very high. So we don't know really that they will vote, and maybe it will be very weird as well for us as Democrats, because as they struggle for sovereignty, maybe they will vote in favor of European sovereignty. So sometimes it's quite difficult for us to work, because, you know, we have this cordon sanitaire, we don't work with far right, but in the other hand, they should vote like us. So we don't know exactly what is the balance today. But what I think is, indeed, what's happening with Donald Trump is a chance for us. But, and I think the states and the government should grasp it and are going to do that. But I think there is an issue with the Commission, the European Commission. Because today, you know, each 6 months, Ursula von der Leyen proposed a working program, and for the beginning of the mandate of the Commission, we have nothing on culture. That's crazy. Nothing on culture, nothing on media, and we are attacked on culture, we are attacked on our media, there is so much disinformation and so on. So that's not possible. So the Commission has to move. And we do move the Commission. We put pressure on them, but I think there really is an issue. During the festival, the Commissioner for Culture, which is Maltese, will come, but almost Stéphane Séjourné, the French Commissioner, who is in charge of the industry. And I think we can rely on him, and I lobby him very much on all our issues about cultural sectors. But we have an issue with the Commissioner for Digital Affairs, Anna Virkkunen, who is from Denmark. And Denmark...
I believe she's from Finland, actually. But it's
Finland, sorry. But there is this Nordic culture, you know, and we have issue with her because she don't struggle enough on all our issues when we are attacked, as we are, by Donald Trump with its memorandum, who say, oh, look, we don't want the Digital Services Act. It's not good for business. We don't want AVMSD. It's not good for business, and so on. So she has to be more vocal.
And she is in charge of the audiovisual sector.
Absolutely.
Right.
And she won't come in Cannes this year. So with Emma, and Emma had this initiative to write to her, and we have a lot of pressure on her. But it's a little bit complicated. But today, I'm optimistic, you see? Because I think when you're attacked on certain issue, you want to react. And I think that it's where we are today.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I think it's really interesting. Maybe just to recap a little bit. So you were talking about how budget priorities do have this, similarly to what Emma was saying, this understanding the importance of culture as part of a soft power. You were talking also about the fact that we're talking today about the European budget, we're talking about support programs, but that's definitely not the only area of intervention of the European Union affecting this sector. You mentioned, Mrs. Farang, both the copyright legislation, which obviously has an impact on every single deal which is signed in this building, deal memo, serious contracts, even a fantasy of making money. All of that is built on copyright issues and territoriality of exclusive rights and their licensing. There's also, of course, the AVMSD, which is the Audiovisual Media Service Directive, which is not going to speak to anybody who's not in Brussels in the room, but that is the legislation at European level that sets out a number of provisions framing the sector, including promotion of audiovisual works, quotas, the possibility of introducing investment obligations and such provisions. So indeed, as you say, this is not only about money or distributing money, it's also about understanding the sector in the way that it is regulated. And so as you were pointing out, the European Parliament definitely has a big hand into influencing this process. You were also pointing to the fact that indeed you both are from the Culture Committee, which is only one part of a bigger parliament, which indeed has, since the last mandate, changed a lot in terms of political colors across the board. And very interesting take. Thank you on all of these things. We'll move now to I don't know which one, maybe Ada, if that's okay with you. Well, Ada, I was going to ask you about, from a producer's perspective, the reality of what this part of the budget is to the sector, the support, media, how that impacts independent production and your work as a professional in this industry. But I feel like you want to address some maybe wider political points as well, because we're talking about values as well as money when we talk about the European budget. So, Ada, go ahead and go with whatever you want.
Yeah, I think that there is a key word that was mentioned here, and this is defense. And I think that we should defend our cultural values as much as we defend democracy. And I think that culture is a non-lethal, amazing weapon to survive. And you know, there is this, when we talk about good life, it's not economy on the first place. It's the health, the education, the culture, and economic conditions. You can live economically okay-ish in an autocracy, but you cannot have you don't have a good life. And I think that this is crucial today. I think that we have the chance, and I'm a little bit maybe too emotional, because my country is a threat in these days. I'm Romanian. We are having on Sunday the elections for the president, and the threat of democracy, it's at high stake. If Romania will fall for extremism on Sunday, other countries around Europe will fall. And I'm I'm not really like putting my country above the others. We are part of the European construction, and we achieved a lot, but we invested very, very little in education and culture. And I think this is one of the main reasons for which the extremism raised at this level, and the fascists are almost ready to take over the country. And I measure my words, and I know what I'm talking about. The other thing is that is crucial in what we already said here. I think it's this independence, because independence is the opponent of dependence, and we don't want to be dependent. We want to be independent, because being dependent means being able to be controlled again by different interests, by different economic or political interests. So that's why I think it's absolutely crucial in our sector, but not only, that the independent production is protected, that has a special kind of care. I'm really shocked to hear that indeed Creative Europe has only 0.2% of the budget.
Of which media is 58%, so calculate 58% of 0.02.
0.01. Almost. Which is frightening. This is frightening, and I think that as treasurers of the cultural heritage of Europe, we have nothing else but the duty, the obligation to defend our identity in our diversity and our democratic values. It's an obligation. I don't see my work. I'm doing art house films. I'm seeing my work not only as a business, but also my civic duty towards the audience. I don't think that money are more important than the spread of ideas and statements and knowledge. I think the type of cinema that we are doing with the support of creative media, Creative Europe and media program, with the support of programs like Eurimage, with the support of all the co-production funding and this, are in fact tools of defending our identity and creating a better world around us at the end of the day. So maybe shall I come back to what media means for us, more practical, or?
I think let's do that, but I think what you're pointing to is really important. It's that you cannot see a support program at European level as only a small part of a big budget or something, like supporting an industry like any other in many ways. So you are talking about the specificity of this industry and what you do as an independent producer, producing certain types of film as part of a wider family of values which are essential to the European project. So in many ways, what you're talking about is making what you do and support it through media echoed into the wider values that should be underpinning, according to you, the entire European project and therefore the European budget as well. I think that's a wider consideration which is worth underlining. But maybe as an example in your work, what does media do for you which supports what you're describing and should be reinforced, you think?
Well, it's not just one thing, because in fact the concept of media program for me as a film producer and for my works, it has multiple implications even before Romania was part of the program. Because as a Romanian producer, coming into the European family, not being full member of the European Union, but still being the new democracy coming up, we were invited into markets that were supported by media. I started to have partners, international partners, that really taught us, and we developed projects together. We managed to penetrate into a wider market than our local market. We started to form and to develop our talents and to have access. Then we had access, full access. And then, you know, it's not only the money for development. It's not, again, I will not stop reinforcing this idea. It's not only about money. Because, for instance, making an application for someone that it's in the beginning of the career, making an application for media program, it's structuring your vision, and it's a fantastic exercise to really understand how your project is evolving. It's like being forced to do a proper business plan for your project. It's not only applying for some money. It's much more than this. It's strategic thinking, and it's in there. Then, when we speak about the exposure of our work, we have the following programs: the distribution programs, the exhibition programs, the festivals. What kind of exchange in between cultures, ideas, and identities is facing your public? All the training programs in different capacities. We have to you know, in order to discover the vaccine for something, you need to invest into the research, much more than the vaccine will ever cost. You are not investing in 10 films that will travel the world. You are investing in developing talent, creativity, forms of expression, but also forms, different platforms of disseminating these products. And this is research, and we need to invest in research. We cannot have a better economical model at the end of the word without research. And in culture, we invest tiny amount. And then there is also this focus now on technology, which is, again, it's in a way, I'm sorry to say it, is just narrow thinking. Because creativity, it's using technology, not technology, it's reinforcing creativity. AI, it's a tool, and we are learning steady to use this tool with our human creativity. AI will not kill, will just develop the moment that we learn the language and we start to use this tool properly. And I will end this thing to pick up on President Trump issue. The moment that Donald Trump thinks that he needs to impose tariffs on, because our works are a threat to the American culture, economy, whatever, I'm becoming very proud. We matter. We really matter. And this is something that should unite us and should be seen in the perspective of, yes, guys, we have this diamond that is the European talents and culture that he is afraid of. We need to nurture this. We need to feed this in order to grow. That's my take.
Thank you, Ada. I think it's very clear, so I will not play the game of summarizing what you said. I think it's fairly clear. We're talking about values and we're talking about the meaning of what independence means today and how that factors into the support that media has provided to cooperation in the sector, co-production, etc. Turning to you, Matthias. So obviously, theatrical exhibition is fundamental to all of this because you are the connection to the audience in this game, and you are the president of a network which is quite unique and has strong ties, obviously, with the media program. Can you tell us how relevant this support has been so far, and if you chime with what we've heard before from the speakers regarding a sort of a renewed importance of the mission in a way?
Well, I'll be happy to. I mean, it's a lot of things to break down here, and I will try to keep as many of the thoughts that I have in my head as possible. But to begin with, I would like to say that cinema and exhibition has always had a duality, inherent duality of art and entertainment, or art and business. I mean, it's very apparent just here in Cannes with Tom Cruise and Losnitsa at the same day. You know, it's part of the game. So I will start to talk a little bit about the business, or at least the money side of it. European exhibition, European cinemas, through Europa Cinemas has had the privilege of a very long and fruitful relationship with the media program and the European Commission through the media program. And they have supported us for almost 30 years. We're very grateful for that, and I think they've done so for very good reason. It's given the cinemas an opportunity to build an identity as European cinemas, to build a strong identity as art house cinemas, because in the end it's all about the circulation of European films. That's the reason that the cinemas get the support. And in doing so, in supporting, or actually incentivizing, it's more of an incentive than a support. The cinemas can program films from all over Europe, which is not only a support to cinemas, because the circulation of European films makes it makes it clear that everyone is supported, from creators to producers to sales agents and distribution and exhibition, all get supported, because cinemas create value for all parts of the chain, economic value and cultural value, and also artistic and social value. And if I should sort of try to tap into one or two of the things that my colleagues here in the panel have said, first of all, I'm really happy to hear about politicians talking about the importance of prioritizing culture in this day and age. This gives me a lot of hope, and it's I think it's very important to keep investing in culture. And talking about authoritarian regimes and anti-democratic movements all over Europe and the rest of the world, when they are investing in propaganda and culture as a tool, the important thing for democratic Europe to invest in is individuality and independence. And cinemas can play a really, really important role, and already do in those issues. I mean, a good independent cinema has people working there who are programming things because they have a professional and profound knowledge of cinema, and are really engaged in the society where we live. This is as far away as you can come from any algorithm that creates your next 5 seconds on your phone, or the next suggestion on your local streamer.
100% human curation.
Human curation is at the center of cinema, and that's also why it's so important, because this is, again, getting back to the money, this is manpower, this is very expensive, because it means salaries, and it means actually paying people for their expertise. So that's the best investment you can make, I think. And also, I mean, cinema is unique in the way that it's an entry-level place of culture. It's not elitist, it's very easy to access, and it's available not only in the big cities, but also in the rural areas, where the cinema, more often than not, is the only cultural institution where people can meet and they can have a communal cultural experience and discussion, and this is so important.
I'm just going to interrupt you for 1 second, because Emma needs to run out, so instead of just doing it shamefully, we're going to allow you to go. Thank you, Emma, for being with us today. But
yes.
So you were talking about the social importance also of the experience, and how this goes beyond also simply human curation.
Exactly. The human curation, and also the communal the communal cultural experience. It's one of the things that I think is very, very important, and I would definitely like my tax euros to invest in that.
Here you go. I think that's a good a good look back to the key point, which is really that in many ways this European budget is yours, ours, and what you're describing to me is, and what Ada is saying also, is a fierce belief that what you do, what is currently supported, has more and more relevance in the political times to come. So clearly, for you, this is not just about securing financial support to businesses in transition, in a globalized industry. It's actually much more fundamental. It's about European values, European democracy, and the place that all these professions and businesses have within this bigger ecosystem of ours, right? Yeah.
Absolutely, but in order to achieve that, you need to have the basic funding. You need the incentive to keep screening European films, and that's what we're hoping for, and that's what we need even in the future. I mean, there's so much investment needed as well for cinemas. If you look at the digital landscape, a lot of cinemas, I mean, the digital transition from 35mm to digital projection was a huge paradigm shift, but unfortunately for a lot of cinemas, the digitization started and ended with the projection. And what everyone needs now, in order to stay relevant, and now I'm promoting the digital part. I mean, I'm not. It's not a contradiction, but you know, to have advertising, ticketing, pre-buys, all of those things ready on a digital platform, that takes a lot of investment as well, and that's where cinemas need to be supported as well to be able to reach the audiences, and get all the tools, the AI tools and all the digital tools, in order to reach those audiences that we often talk about, but also really want to see our films and visit our cinemas. You know.
What it sounds like to me is that really the two of you are describing a fierce belief that the audiovisual and the film sector are cultural sectors, and that this is what should be supported through European funding. And then, of course, there are many things to help that happen in the best way possible, and that requires, of course, support in changes, technological changes, and a number of innovations that your businesses are embracing. but that the whole point of this is actually cultural in many ways. I'm going to turn to the audience. Does anybody want to ask a question, maybe, to the panels that we still have on stage? Or not? Just in case. You don't have to. Okay, go. Don't feel forced, though. You're not.
Thank you for this presentation. Sorry, I came 3 minutes late. I was wondering, as I'm going to walk out and going to parties and stuff like that, I'm wondering if you have some key numbers that I could share to my, how does the European Parliament in Europe helps culture? So we got the numbers 0.02% and stuff like that, but are there any more things that we should, key numbers we should remember? Like, thanks to the European Union, we get hundreds of movies being made. Cinema being, okay, all of that on the QR code. Okay, then my question is done.
Isn't that awful?
Okay.
But that's actually true. If you QR this thing, or whatever it is that you call it these days, you will get some more practical data. But just to clarify, so you were saying how the European Parliament supports culture. The European Parliament supports culture at European level by influencing the decision-making process that puts the right money to the right the right programs corresponding to the right values, and help frame the regulatory setup.
If I may.
Sure, go ahead.
If I may. We only have one program related to culture, which is Creative Europe. But we have many ways and many legislative files to work for culture. In the digital age, of course, we made so many things. We've, since copyright in 2019, to the action we have today about culture on platforms, with the work we do for the Act for Artificial Intelligence, which is quite an issue today. It's quite complicated. I don't know if you followed all our debates, but it was quite, indeed, quite complicated to add a chapter on transparency, which was the work of the Parliament, when we speak about generative AI, not all the AI, but thanks to the Parliament, we add this clause about the transparency. But today it's discussed with the Commission and the stakeholders you are, and it's not ready. So we have to struggle to make culture recognized, not to allow to take freely all the data, all the work, and to protect. But we have this debate, which is absolutely crazy, to say culture is against innovation. So that's crazy. So we have this battle today. So we work for you to say, no, tech has to pay for what she uses as cultural data. So that's our work today. So that's a big issue. And it's not finished today. But no, it's not finished. We wait for this conduct code and
code of practice. Yeah.
Code of practice, absolutely. So that's another example. Of course, we will have this very important directive you mentioned, the Audiovisual and Media Service Directive. That is quite important, because if we want to have the 30% of European works, maybe increase the quotas. If Donald Trump say, okay, we have tariffs, but we can say, okay, but we'll have bigger quotas for you, for to have more European works, and you will have more obligation for financing productions, European productions. So we have many weapons against Trump if we are strong. But we have only program, but many ways to act for culture at the European level.
And you're entering this in a fighting spirit in many ways.
Yes, because...
What is your prognosis on how things can turn out? You were saying that the Parliament has changed politically, so things are maybe going to be a little bit complicated, but you feel like you have a good fighting chance in this
Yes,
in this
because
battle.
we are in this mood of sovereignty. And all is linked, I think. When we claim for sovereignty, of course there is defense, there are many things, but today we have to be aware that culture is essential. And I think there is a good sign because, you know, Poland is chairing today the European Union, and the work they do is quite important because they are a motto for their presidency of the EU. It goes to end of June, which is Security Europe. And the Polish commissioner is in charge of the budget. So that's quite interesting. And they are very keen on culture. I work with them, and they are getting more and more importance in the Council of EU. We saw Donald Tusk, and they as well have elections, very important elections with the president. We hope the best for you, but there will be the Polish elections. There are, and we hope a lot, because that will be important, and we have many hopes for you as well, but I think it will be very complicated. So I think this, I think so. No, that's crazy. That was worse than the first elections, and so I think we can have hope from this country, Poland, Germany, France. So they are leaders for that sovereignty spirit, and I hope that the Parliament, in its new majority, will follow. So that's why I said I'm optimistic.
Excellent. I mean, it's not every second that you find people in politics who are optimistic these days, so that's very good. We'll take it. Laurence, yeah, we do need it very much. We're coming... Oh, yeah. Okay, one more question, and then we'll have to wrap up, I think. Go ahead. If you can introduce yourself, that's great.
Yeah, my name's Tim Dams. I'm from Screen International magazine.
Oh, good.
And I just want... Emma suggested that, or hoped that the Creative Europe budget might double, or she said that she would like the Creative Europe budget to double. And I was just wondering kind of what a realistic outcome, Laurence, you might think could be for Creative Europe in the next long-term budget. You know, is staying the same a good outcome? I mean, doubling would be marvelous, I suppose, but, you know, what realistically?
It would be wonderful, but I don't believe in it. I don't believe it. No, the first thing we have to secure, first, to secure the program. Because the first idea of the Commission was, you know, to have a big envelope of, I don't know what. So first, the first fight is to be sure we will have a Creative Europe program. I think now it's one, but and then to secure the budget, but I'm not hoping for a doubling. So that's an issue, really. But I think what we can do as well is to work on cohesion funds, because they can bring a lot to culture as well on many fields. We will see how it will go. I can say a lot today because we are waiting for the proposal of the European Commission in July, I think. And we wait a lot for it. But to be realistic, I don't hope a doubling. We'll do our best, but I think it will be very difficult.
So it's going to be about infrastructure as well as it's going to be about the value allocated to each segment, right?
Yes, but maybe I think there is maybe a solution, I don't know, because Ursula von der Leyen proposed a democracy shield. I don't know if you heard about that.
Oh, yes.
But if we don't address culture, if we don't address freedom of media, we can't have this democracy shield. So I think what I would like to ask with my colleagues is to have funding for these democracy shields in the area of media and audiovisual and culture. So maybe there will be a little door in these questions because, as you said, it's fundamental for democracy. So if we only have empty words, empty buzzing words like democracy shields, but you let go disinformation, you don't secure free media and so on, it won't work. So maybe they will think on this way. But we will fight, really. I think we will be very mobilized on all this issue to find money and to say it's for culture, of course, but our priority is security, and culture is one kind of security. It's part of security.
Okay. I think, I'm afraid we're coming at the end of our time, so that's going to be the end of our round of questions. However, you will have a shot at continuing the conversation in a moment on the other side, if I understood the organizers correctly. I want to really thank our speakers for your contributions. It seems to me like we started talking about, you know, a budget, and we end up talking about the future of Europe and how what we do here in Cannes matters in that context. So, and the fact that the two are linked is somewhat reassuring, also from a political perspective. So there is a shot right now at redirection, which feels optimistic for the people on the panel, and I want to take that away, remembering that the European Parliament is fighting and will continue to fight in this European adventure for that to happen. Thank you so much. Thank you to our audience, and see you very soon. Bye.